Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second class of the Power of Color, or whatever we named it. Color class, anyways, painting in oils and acrylics. And I'm excited to see everybody here and really thrilled to soon get to look at everybody's gradients if you had time to do some of those and had a chance to share it to our Padlet page. Um, yeah, so I was just starting to talk before the recording about it feels funny to be saying today is all about grays, and it's I'm promoting the fact that it's a color class. But the truth is that gray is the most common color in the world. Everything, when you go out in nature, the world is a lot grayer than those primary colors that we squeeze out of the tube. And so we're going to be learning about using, what I use, the split primary palette, or maybe you're just using three primaries and white. And we're going to talk about different options. I'm not against using tubed black, but I do have to warn you that a lot of times when people use tubed black, it really deadens the image. And I can absolutely tell if it's been overused. If you want a shortcut, you want dark, dark darks, then tube black, whatever version you use, whether it's ivory or Mars black or uh, lamp black or Payne's gray, even, or chromatic black, which is a color that Gamblin makes, and we'll be talking about that today. Um, any of those colors are fine and a great way to really darken an image or darken your colors. But the main thing is make sure you're doctoring those colors. If you're using it straight out of the tube, we rarely, rarely see black in the world. It's just almost always, if when we look at the screen here, and I'm looking at Phyllis Mueller's big background behind her, those big pots behind her, or Darlene Crow's sweater. They look really black to us on the screen. But if Phyllis was to turn around and look at that, or Darlene look closely at her sweatshirt, she would notice that there's all this reflected light coming in. There's shadow areas, there's light areas. And when we oftentimes use black out of the tube, we just cover an area. And it really almost appears like a hole, or it's just a big dead space. So again, I'm not against using black. I'm not like a true impressionist where, they're purported to have not used black. But the truth is, squeezing out four different blacks, I could barely get the caps off. And they were in the very, very back of my drawer of dark colors because I never use them. I really don't. I do use Payne's gray from time to time, but I think of Payne's gray as just a very, very dark, deadened blue. And so it works great for really cooling down things. So it's kind of a shortcut color. I don't use it too often. And I actually buy the cheap version of it. I buy Gamblin's 1980 because for my oil paints of Payne's gray, and it's even more transparent. So that's something I guess we should start with. When we're talking about blacks, the chromatic black that Gamblin makes is made with quinacridone red and phthalo green. All right. And if we look at the back of those two colors, it will tell us that they are transparent or semi-transparent colors. So when you mix them together, you're getting a transparent or a semi-transparent black. And I'm gonna give you guys demos of all this when we get up to that easel. So don't worry if I'm going too quickly here. My go-to shortcut black is ultramarine blue, and then a dark earthy red. I really like the transparent earth red or an oxide brown. They're the same color. And it makes a very transparent black. If I use ultramarine blue and burnt umber, then I know that I'm making a more opaque black. I find that in my paintings, a lot of times my darker areas, I like to have slightly more transparent. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I just find, I think when I get a real opaque, dark black, it again just appears kind of like a hole in space. So that's going to become up to you. If you're more of an abstract painter or more, you like the graphic quality in your paintings, then you may want to lean towards a more opaque black. If you are painting like Gail does back there, you can see her painting over her shoulder there, more earthy colors, more kind of a tonalist feel. I would imagine that the Gail's using more transparent blacks. Gail, are you doing a lot of transparent earth red and ultramarine blue to make your darks?
Yes, and a lot of times to make my, and I guess I don't use the word black, I use dark.
Yeah, dark is a
I'll
great
mix
word.
up a lot, almost every color I'm using in that painting. Then my dark is unified with everything.
Love that.
Mother color, your term mother color.
Yeah.
And if I need something that's more blue, I'll add more blue out from that mother color, or mix a green out from that mother color, but everything comes out of that mother color pile.
All right. Thank you, Gail. Yeah, you skipped right to the middle of my lesson, but that's perfect.
Sorry.
That's exact. No, that's great. That means you've been learning and listening or experimenting enough to figure it out on your own. But that's great. That is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, is how do we take dark colors and make them relate to the rest of our painting? And Gail is exactly right. It's by mixing, whatever colors or a bunch of the colors. And I will show you examples of that as well today. Let's go ahead and quickly jump over to just some examples of colors and artists so we can see kind of what I'm talking about when I say grays. All right, so I'm going to share this screen. Oh, let me spotlight myself.
Michael, that is how you use the term mother color, right? It's that central pile of.
Yeah, in some of my paintings, I'll have multiple mother colors. And
For instance, like a blue or.
yeah, like I might have one mother
Red.
color for the sky, one mother color for the ground area, one mother color for the hills, whatever. And you can have as many or as few as you want. If it's a more tonalist painting, then yeah, one mass pile that you're branching off of. And Kim will talk about that and to the other new students. But a mother color is where you kind of imagine that you're take your photo, your reference, or you whatever into the art store and you say, I'm going to be painting this. What are the colors, that I should have? Right. And imagine it's an art store with every color imaginable. And that you say, okay, I'm going to be painting, these pine trees, this grayish blue sky, this yellow ochre greenish grass, right? And of course, within all those areas, you're going to have a lot of gradients and a lot of variations in color and temperature. But what you would do is you would just kind of mix an overall pile of each one of those colors, kind of a premix. And you can then, like Gail said, then you can shift those. And what happens is a lot of times I'll have a pile of color. I don't know if you can still see me, but a pile of colors. And then from there, I'll have all these little arms that come off. Those are the babies. That's why it's the mother color and the family. So they're all related, right? So you'll have, if it was a dark color, like Gail was just saying, that, maybe leans towards red browns a little bit, but then you want to take it to green, you would know that you're just going to add a little bit of yellow and a little bit of blue to that. And all of a sudden you've got a greenish, brownish, reddish baby. And then the other way, you can add a little blue and you get a cooler, slightly darker. And it's just a great way to harmonize your painting. It really speeds up the painting process if you just put that little bit of work beforehand. And what I really like about it, as somebody that sells his paintings to feed his family and buy new dishwashers with, is that I can make these 3 or 4 mother colors, and just quickly by glancing at them, I say, do these colors play well together? Are they beautiful together or ugly, whatever whatever I want to do with them? And it's just a great way of saying, yeah, these colors work together, or no, there one really stands out like a sore thumb, and I just need to shift it a little bit to harmonize it. And it doesn't mean they all need to be, really, really related, but they want to look good together, right? Like you're putting, an outfit together, or picking the pillows to go with your couch, to go with your drapes, to go with your rug, right? It's just, how do you figure out if that looks good or not? And that's where a lot of the freedom in color choice comes in. Last week, I talked about a lot of times I work from black and white photos because I don't want to be locked in to the colors of reality. I like the design and the value structure possibly in the photo. And then I'm going to shift those colors into something that's more beautiful. So does everybody see my little page here with examples of, well, actually, I'm going to test it one more time.
Yep.
Does everybody see a big dark screen with a picture in the middle?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, good.
Yes.
I like this one better because we can zoom in.
No, I don't.
You don't see a dark,
No,
big dark.
I see the dark screen around it and then all your little thingies.
Let me do stop share and try it again real quick. See if I can share this specific screen on purpose. How about now?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, great. Perfect. So this is a painting by Burge Harrison. And I chose this one because it's very dark, right? So the main thing I want you to take away from today is that when we think gray, right, we think black plus white equals gray, and it's neutral and it's dull and it's boring, right? What I want to open up to you guys is that gray encompasses so much, right? If you were describing this painting to somebody that hadn't seen it before, you would say, right, you'd say, well, it's actually kind of purple, dark gray purples with little hints of grayed down greens, right? Almost every color in here, besides maybe the sun or moon or whatever that is fairly low chroma, meaning grayed down or neutralized, right? Yet very beautiful. It's funny, when I was looking up examples of grays on paint sites, like for house paints and different things like that, a lot of them would say our elegant colors or sophisticated. And I'm like, yes, perfect. I like that, because I don't want to just say dull or dead or, grayed down. That all sounds, so I'm going to say elegant. But isn't this, the subtlety and the beauty in this is just kind of profound. Maybe I wouldn't want it in my house because it's, very, very cool, but let's look at some others, right? This is a painter named Brian Sindler. He is actually an acrylic painter and does a whole lot of these kind of California scenes, and every one of his paintings is really grayed down, but I love his work. Reminds me of some of my California Impressionist painters that I just loved. This one has more color in it, right? It has greens, it's got purples, it's got pinks, it's got browns. But do you see how every one of them, none of them are vibrant?
Mm-hmm.
Right. None of them are really bright. And conversely, none of his colors are really dark either. When we get into the shadows, he kind of takes everything towards the mid in value scheme ways. He doesn't have a black and he doesn't have a white, and he just has this beautiful control of his colors, and he's so fast at them. He's great. Here's another one of his, right? Even these gray pink clouds, they feel so bright because in comparison to the darks and dulls, they are. And like this just reads as almost a vibrant blue, but it's actually very grayed down, right? If I could, bring up some other colors. Let's try an experiment. Let's pump up his saturation here. Right? So you can really see the difference. This is maybe what I would paint if I had seen this scene that, or was standing beside him. I might paint it a little more vibrant, but I really love what he does. See that difference? Look at this, stare at this for just a second, And then watch what happens when I turn it back to his original version. It almost feels black and white for a second, but keep staring at it. And all of a sudden the colors come back. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And then here would be the black and white version of it.
Mm.
Right? So let's stare at that for just a second. And I'm going to put it back to his original version. And what my guess is it's going to feel very vibrant. All right, now let's do the full gamut from black and white all the way to full, boom, and back to his. Isn't that
Full
interesting?
color is almost gaudy.
Yeah, right. And that's just it, is when we squeeze out our tubes, especially if you're like me and you're using primarily primary colors, you know, 2 reds, 2 yellows, 2 blues, and white. I feel like they're circus colors, right? Or colors that, you know, you see in the banners for car, you know, used car dealerships, right? Or fast food restaurants, right? Those primary colors. And they're so bright and so vibrant, and they're just not found in nature very often unless you happen to be, you know, in a garden full of flowers, maybe, or something like that. So what I'm going to be teaching you today is how do we take these bright, borderline gaudy colors and bring them down to earth, right? How do we make them elegant? We're going to take this very loud, very obnoxious, you know, person, and we're going to teach them how to be elegant and debonair. I mean, that one's basically black and white almost, right?
Beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful though, those subtleties, right? And again, the longer you look at it, I'm going to turn my screen just a little bit.
Blue comes out.
I'm sorry?
Blue comes out in the water.
Yeah. And the longer we look at it, right? The first color I saw was kind of a pinkish hue, a pink gray.
Yeah, up there, I saw the blues.
And then the blues start to come out, and all of a sudden the little subtleties of the purpley gray to the greenish gray to the reddish gray here, but nothing's jumping out, right? It's all very subtle. He's keeping, if we squint our eyes, they're all, especially this red and this green, are almost exactly the same value or the same light and dark. Just subtle temperature shifts and color shifts.
And
All
then
right, so here's some examples I grabbed. I've got a number of these. I've added them to our site under color references. So again, if I'm painting from a black and white and I want to come up with kind of a grayed down color scheme, I oftentimes will pull up these little, you know, color matching things. Like these are, I don't know where I stole all these from, but some of them are for interior designers or for people who are, you know, building and then decking out their house with new furniture and stuff. And it's just kind of like, okay, you know, these would be, all of these would be beautiful wall colors, but very different moods and feels, right? So
Yeah,
I'm
so
constantly,
I have a
please.
question, and I really love that. And what I'm seeing is, and maybe this is what you're going to get to, a lot of the art that I've seen will have these beautifully grayed down shades of blues. And my question is, how do we make them?
Okay, good.
great
That is the
question.
perfect question for today. I appreciate it. Thank you. And if you're willing to wait a little bit, I can show you, or I could kind of tell you right now.
No, I'll wait. That's okay. But that's what I really want to learn how to do those, because I see them and I mix and mix and mix and mix, and I don't come up with anything that I think is even close, and I get frustrated. So I'll wait. That's just what I'm looking to find out. Yes.
Perfect. Well, today was brought to you by Darlene Crow and Gray Paints. All right, perfect. Yeah, we're gonna have so much fun, Darlene. I've been excited for this class all week. All right, here's all those gray blues you're talking about, going up into
Yes.
more ocheries. I mean, just some of my favorite colors. Again, some of these you would say maybe aren't quite gray, right? But I mean, the subtlety or elegance, or I just love it.
Can you show us the one before that, the one before the polka dots? Yeah, that one. Wait.
A lot more bluey grays. Yeah, and I believe this is up on our Padlet page. If not, I can add it.
Okay. Oh, I love those colors.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just, it's literally like you could connect 3 dots, right? Or, maybe this one, and this one. And you can make a whole beautiful Brian Sindler like painting. It's almost like you can just connect the dots, right? And, just doing what Gail said, I could mix a mother color of this. Maybe I would mix a mother color of this. Pick 3, and then we can, add variety to each one of those and have so much fun. I was going to kind of quickly go through them because you guys get the idea. But these are like color swatches, again, for interior designers. So when I go to Home Depot, I'm constantly raiding that little paint swatch area, looking for, inspiration. I mean, every one of these, I would love to do a painting in that. Would love to do a painting in that.
Can I say something, Michael, about
Always.
those chips you've got? They're the same value. The top 2 are the same value. The bottom 3 are the same value.
All right, so let's show you what Gail's talking about here. What Gail's saying is that these are the same light and dark, right? But the top one looks much brighter to us, right, than this one?
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the hard thing about color. When I'm teaching us to see values in color or colors in value, it's really difficult because warm colors often just read lighter. So what we're going to do again is I'm just going to take it, add it to adjustments, and I'm just going to take the saturation down, and let's just see if Gail's right. Not quite exactly right. It is a little lighter,
Very
but
close.
really close. Very close.
The bottom 3 are the
as
same.
well.
And
these
what's
3, yeah, are almost exactly the same.
So you could almost literally do a painting in the same value, but with different colors, and it would be, which is what you're talking about, the grays. And
Right.
it's gorgeous.
That's such a good point, Gail, because I often consider myself kind of a tonalist or more of a value-based, meaning I think that the values in my paintings do most of the work. And then my colors, I always say values do all the work, colors get the credit. But the truth is, if one of my favorite painters is Monet. And if you go through and find a bunch of Monet paintings and turn them into black and white, whole areas disappear. Whole trees against the sky will completely disappear. The water lilies will completely vanish into the water. And so what he's, of course, Monet is a colorist, right? And so he is using color as his separator, right? Like if we put these 2 colors next to each other, we're not going to lose them. If this was a tree and this was a sky, we're going to see the difference. But if I did it as a black and white painting, right, they would just vanish into each other. So, I say that values are more important than colors, but not always, right? Sometimes it is about color. And when we're kind of planning our painting and writing out, if you use my little cheat sheet for designing your artwork, you might want to add in, this painting is about colors. This is about color shifts, temperature shifts, and less about value shifts. Remember when we did high key, mid key, and low key paintings and full value range paintings? High key meaning they would all be painted in the lighter versions. Mid value or darks would be up here. The painting has to be about color shifts because you're just losing a lot of your variety of values. Oh, darn it. I didn't mean to close that. Where was I? All right. Tell me, did the black screen open up?
No.
Yes,
You.
Just me. Sorry. Nobody wants to see that. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. Just more examples. Again, I'll kind of skim across them. Love this color scheme.
Wow.
This. I would love to do a dull avocado green with this, where I take a kind of a military brighter green and then just dull it way down. I think would just play so nicely with these pinks and golds here. Some of my favorite colors are dull pinks and kind of a 1950s era green. Just love those combinations.
Ooh, I like
Right. So here's more muted purples and greens. So beautiful. You could definitely see a Linda Camerata painting using these.
I like those colors.
Yes, I can. Again, I mean, if you just found 3 dots that you really like, lovely,
I love.
slightly more masculine side or the more calm side. A lot of times the warmer colors are a little more exciting, the blues and greens a little calmer. Wow, I grabbed a lot of these, sorry. But do you guys see that? I mean, even though if you know you're again describing this to somebody, be like, oh, it's a whole bunch of purple and pink dots, right?
Mhm.
But it's purple-ish, grayed down purple. It's pink-ish, grayed down pinks, right? Muted. All right, so here's some examples. I could not find the artist's name here, but I've seen this picture a couple times. I just love that gradation in the background, right? I mean, it looks like an almost abstract, you know, Rothko's kind of painting, or yeah, this kind of striped art. This is a Charles Harold Davis. So another thing we're going to be exploring is, what if the painting is mostly gray? Right. And that's how I use my grays in my paintings the most, is I'll often have some burst of color, some area of stronger color. But I found that if all the colors are bright, it's for one very garish and blinding, but it also loses interest to me. If everything's special, nothing's special. If everything's bright, nothing's bright. If everything's colorful, nothing's colorful kind of feel. And I find, like, even though this band of warmth, you know, back here on the horizon, is still very grayed down, but because he's got these big areas of cool blues, cool purples, cool blues, cool purples, he's got the broken color up here. If you guys can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue, pink, orange, blue, purple, pink, orange, blue. You know what I mean?
Right.
But our eye goes to this band because it's contrasting with this. So if you want an area to be special, you want to have probably less of it, right? If this was all yellowish, let's do a quick edit. Let's just mess with his colors for a second. I'm gonna take the saturation up, right? It's just a whole different feeling. Take it down, whole different feeling, whole different feeling, right? Let's warm it all up. Whole different feeling. This seems more like what I would probably paint.
Nice.
But by having less of it, it becomes, you know, it draws our eye to this area, right? It's also got the darkest darks near the lightest lights, so we get that contrast. It also has the straight edges versus all the other very organic shapes, so it draws our attention. So even though it's a very subtle piece, cancel. What do I want to do? This. That makes sense, you guys?
Yeah.
How we're using grays. This one almost takes a second to even tell what you're looking at, doesn't it?
Hmm.
All right.
Right down.
What do you guys think it is?
I see trees.
Yeah, tree and maybe sea.
I don't know what the rest.
I think it's a hillside. I think this is the top of a hill with a little bit of clear sky. What I think it is the first snow kind of coming in real lightly in Montana, because I know where the painter's from. This, I think, oh wait, this is David Grossman. I'm not positive where he lives, but I just feel it as that kind of blanketing of, you know, foggy snow kind of coming in, and it's just very subtle.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You see the trees, almost again an abstracted painting. Now a band of trees, another band of trees, then you go up and lines of hills, I think. And all of a sudden I imagine this is the top of the hill with a little bit of light coming across. Pretty wild. This is another David Grossman painting. He definitely uses broken color. You see all those purples, blues, greens,
Hmm.
But they're all the same value.
all the same value. Gail, you're nailing it today. Exactly
Hey,
right.
Michael,
Yeah,
can you define broken colored? Because some of the other students are using that phrase or concept.
sure. I mean, the easiest way is imagine impressionism, right? Where they are dabbing paint. And what it is it's putting colors side by side. So if we zoom in on this, can you see the blue, cool blues, and then the more pinkish colors, and then the more purplish colors?
Sure.
And they're done in almost independent little brush strokes. But like Gail said, the values, squint your eyes, and all of a sudden they kind of blend together. And what's neat about broken color is you get this little vibration going. So even though it's a very quiet and still painting, there's
It has some
a sense of
energy.
movement and energy in it, right? That's what again, Monet will, I'll bring him up so many times in my classes, but he just puts all these colors side by side by side, and then what happens is something called optical mixing. So watch. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, right? And you see all these different little subtle shifts in color.
Mhm.
Right? And then watch as I continue to zoom out. What happens is our brain starts putting those colors together for us, and they create another color, right? All of a sudden it's just kind of a grayish, bluish, but a little bit of warmth. So it's a way of mixing colors that can't really be done. Like if you were to describe this color, right, you'd say it's purplish, bluish, grayish with a hint of green. Well, if you mixed all those colors together, you just get mud. So with optical mixing or using use of broken color, you can create, you put two colors side by side and they become a third color.
I like that.
Van Gogh's haystacks would be a good example of that.
Exactly right. Yeah, we'll look at more of that. I mean, actually, maybe we should do mixed broken color as part of our project for next week.
Hmm.
All right, this is one of my favorite painters of the last year or two. This guy named David Sharp from Canada. I really like his work, and it's not for everybody, of course. None of the paintings are for everybody, but I've been leaning more into where can I abstract my paintings, at least mentally, starting to play that game. I could see myself going into slightly more abstracted landscapes in the future. And I just think he does such a great job of really breaking it down and finding that poetry within a painting and kind of what's the least that says the most. What I love here is he's got purple grays, greenish grays, even yellowish grays. Nothing here is overly vibrant. But of course, this area really starts to sing because everything else has been neutralized or grayed down. I love these little patches of pink up against those greens. Here's a much grayer one by him. But even though it's a gray painting, it just has a lot of energy. I mean, you can almost feel the rain falling. There's a sense of energy, even though he's got mostly horizontal and vertical brush strokes, hardly any diagonals in this. It still has a sense of movement and freshness to me. But I just love those grays. Another one by him. He's got little complement colors that are much more bright. These little pinks and some bands of color in there, but they really play beautifully off these much more large gray areas.
Does he use a lot of palette knife?
I believe so. I've never actually seen him paint, or I've never seen much about his work process. He does actually a lot of digital stuff lately because he's had some health issues. And so he's uses an app called Procreate, which he has built a bunch of brushes that look like his brush strokes on his digital platform. And he does some really neat work on there. And what's fun is he does just like I do, where he can just quickly, build something and then just kind of do a whole lot of what if, he can do a lot of experimentation. What if it was brighter? What if it was dark? What if it was, what if it had really strong contrast?
An AI artist.
Yeah. So yeah, and a lot of artists are using Procreate or whatever app they're using to kind of test things. For one of my commissions, I was having a hard time with design elements, so I just took a photo and loaded it into Photoshop, and then I was free to move big areas around and kind of get the feeling like I wanted. There's another one of David Sharp's. So, you may not say this is necessarily really a gray painting, but every color has been grayed down, right? None of them are out of the tube. This is Dennis's work from Ukraine. I love his work, and I just thought this one was really interesting for him because even this blue, right, because of the contrast with the yellows and pinks, the blue feels very, very, very blue. But when it's not letting me zoom in for whatever reason. But if we zoomed in or just isolate an area, it's actually really quite gray. I just love the freshness in this painting. Dennis Sheehan, a lot of us really like his work. He's really good at using a lot of grays. And I think he uses phthalo green, transparent earth red, or oxide red. And I don't remember what other colors he uses in his paints, but a lot of earthy colors. This is very gray, but yeah, after looking at all those other ones we looked at, right, this feels like, wow, punch in the face. But it's still a very gray painting, right? All the colors have been grayed down. Maybe this swath that it looks like you put through with a palette knife here at the end is less so. Isn't that beautiful though?
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yep.
That looks like a Regini painting.
Mhm.
Is that David Sharp as well?
No, let me get back to it. I just lost the screen.
And there's broken.
Somebody, Devin Michael Roberts.
Yep,
Oh,
Devin
yeah,
Michael
yeah.
Oh,
Roberts.
and
Yeah,
Michael
I've got the
Roberts, yeah.
names are at the
I can't
top
read
if
the
you can
first
read them.
name.
Otherwise, just ask me and I'll let you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, look at that difference, right? Going from this to this. Oh, I can't remember the name of this painter. I don't have it. This is one of my favorite paintings. Oh, the name has escaped me. But I just love the subtlety. Look at the little bit of blue. And then right when we first looked at it again, go to this, stare at this for a second, and then we go to this, and it's black and white, right? And then when we start to look at it, there's a little bit of blue,
Yellow.
a little bit of brown, little bits of yellow, right? This is actually really tricky to do, a colored, almost black and white painting. Very, very subtle. And I just love the delicate brush strokes versus the big, bold brush strokes versus the, and you can tell that he actually used some paint on that too. This is Elaine Bassa.
Oh, wow.
Actually
That's
helped run the Tonalists Society of America. Actually, the first workshop I ever took, she was beside me. She was another student. And yeah, she really took off and is doing great, beautiful work. But aren't these just beautiful grays? And look at this, a broken color really can be, we can really see it up here. I don't know why it's not letting me zoom in anymore.
What is her name?
Elaine, Eleienne, and then her last name is Bassa. And if you like Brent Cotton's work and stuff, they share a lot in common of style. But I just love this transition. Remember talking about the gradients last week? Aren't these just beautiful? And then the gradients down in the snow from the darker to the more pink cools.
Look at the gradients in the trees also.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. On the right side and the left side, and then the middle, and how she spotlights what she wants you to see.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely piece. And I mean, she's got the houses spotlit, like you said. She's got lines drawing us in. And then a little bit of a nice accent area of focus. This is my friend Eric Bowman. He does a lot of Western scenes, and I just love his brush work. We have a lot of his paintings, I think 5 or 6 of his paintings in our house. but I just love the subtle blues, purples. He also is using broken color.
Yeah.
He grew up in California, and I'm sure was inspired by the California Impressionists and stuff. Then he became an illustrator for a number of years, and now is shows exclusively through galleries and does really well. This is a Russell Chatham painting. I really love his work. I've brought it up a couple times in our classes. He's a Montana painter, and that's who I got confused with the one previously that I said was Montana. Fred Cumming from England, I believe. And just he always has these really interesting, almost animalistic clouds, really odd shapes. But I just love the colors in this, and again the subtlety. Oh, there's a gale sky.
Wow.
Yeah, going from that sunset to that sunset.
Whoa.
Gavin Brooks, very overcast, hazy, right? I've seen this at the coast so many times where the sun is just fighting to get through not only the clouds, but all that haze that's in the air. It just feels very authentic and Oregon coast to me. I didn't know this artist before, but this painting popped up on my feed, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna grab it because how many different grays. It almost feels very colorful, right? Because it's got blues, yellows, reds, purples, all these greens. It's got all these colors all bouncing around, close to each other. So it almost feels very colorful, but it's also very grayed down.
Gorgeous.
Well, and that yellow in there, it just looks luminous, but how do you paint that yellow so it doesn't look like a yellow spot coming out, and how do you gray a yellow without turning it green?
Ah, man, so many good questions. Today's class was brought to you by Darlene Crow.
Again.
We'll go a little quicker because there's a bunch. I really like this painting a lot.
That's nice.
Just love that juicy, fun brushwork and solid colors and these subtle gradations. That pinkish gray to a greenish gray, bluish to just almost pure gray to greenish, back to pink, down to yellow, right? They're very subtle, right? They're all in the same value. Nothing is bright, except for in the sky. But even these transitions, that the trees are getting hit by light, but it's not like the light is so strong that it's making them really brightly lit. It's just a little bit lighter, which is inviting a little more color into these sides of the trees, right?
Wow.
Just so simple, so beautiful, so subtle. Love this one. This is Josh Clare, Utah painter. And I grabbed this one because what I love is his use of grays in the background. Right? And then it's clearer, stronger yellow ochres and, burnt umbers in the foreground. But watch as we just see this yellow ochre here and this reddish kind of umbery color here. And then watch what's happening. Watch as it transitions the yellow ochre on the ground. Gets a little greener. Back to red and then to purple. Same thing with these burnt umbers. Watch as they transition back. So this feeling of space, and it's not dynamic. It's not a brightly lit day. It's not got, real dynamic clouds. The fact that he gave so much space to the sky is an interesting choice because he literally split his land and his sky.
Yeah.
Right?
The light source is
He's
also
from-
very diffused.
Very diffused. Yeah, lots of atmosphere. Look at these soft edges back here too, really help. You just lose like where the trees are, the trees back here. Can't even tell where they start and stop with the mountains.
Wonder how he did that sky.
It was a broken color sky.
Yeah,
It just has some broken color,
yeah. It's amazing.
isn't it? Pink, to green to bluey purple.
Cool. Yeah. Yellow.
There's a lot in that sky. I don't know why. Let me stop share and start share again and see if I can
It's
figure out why it's not letting me zoom in, because we're missing so much. I'm gonna close that down. Where's my Josh Clare painting? All right, let's share again. Okay, now let's see if it lets me zoom in. It does. Okay, so let's look at that sky.
wow.
Wow.
I love the purpley pink, and then purple, and then it goes to the blue and the kind of greenish and blue down in the bottom left. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. So, and again, let's turn it to black and white really quickly. And watch, it'll just become, I'm guessing, a big flat space. So in the foreground, the values are doing a lot of work, right? Or in the ground plane, I should say, right? You got the darkest darks towards the front, then you have no more dark darks, and then you have no more even mid-value darks, and then you go to the sky and it's all one value. But there we go, let's punch it up. So now we can really see the transitions as they go back. Like this would be a nice painting almost. A little garish, I probably wouldn't want to go that strong. But probably I would do something closer to this. I love that he's gone to here.
Do we know where he's from?
Utah.
I don't know. It looks an awful lot like here in Pennsylvania.
Oh, well, he travels a lot. He teaches quite a bit, I think. Justin Worrell, I don't know how to say his last name for sure, but he does really,
Wow.
sometimes they're really detailed, sometimes they're not, but he's really good with his skies. I'm sometimes mystified by his, like how he has these clouds in front of clouds in front of clouds. This isn't a really great example of, you know, his work, but I just love the, oh, I lost my zoom again, darn it.
Look at the bright orange in that cloud too, in that sky.
Yeah. Kevin Court, I missed the T. Kevin Corder also grays down his paintings. They feel very colorful sometimes, but what I love is that, you know, this isn't just a gray, blue, you know, he's got the warmth of the sun is coming through, and there's layers of atmosphere between us. And that light is passing through all those particulates of water and illuminating them, warming them up. So you get this illusion of warmth.
Does he get
Right.
that foggy feeling on the trees by glazing, or is that original?
I couldn't tell you for sure, but he's a dang good painter. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's not really just making those grayed down colors.
Yeah, he's good.
Love this one by Liz Haywood.
Wow.
Lots of drama. You know, those blues are not grayed down, right? Those are just, they're tinted, meaning that you've added white. So you're going to hear me talk about that a lot. So tint is adding white, shade is adding black or dark. Okay, so this is a tinted blue. This may be a little closer to out of the tube, and then more white to lighten it up. But I love these pinky purpley grays in here.
Outstanding.
Mark Hansen, just another fantastic painter. This guy set a challenge for himself a number of years ago to do 3 paintings plein air every day for, I can't remember, 100 days or something like that. I don't remember, but boy, did it help. It was just so fun to watch because he was posting them all, and we were friends on Facebook and stuff, and you could just see him getting better and better and better, and he just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
But look at this gradient back here,
Yeah.
right?
Beautiful.
What's interesting is we can tell that there's a band of clouds, right? Or at least thicker fog.
Yeah.
And just over that, as it's thinning out, it starts to pick up some of the light and then goes up to the blue sky. But even in here, these are some of my favorite colors. Our house has a lot of these in it. Burgundies and ochres and grays and blue, kind of grayed down blues. I love that color combination. I don't know if, you know, if we were looking at this, if you guys would say these are those are kind of gray colors, right? But they're definitely not out of the tube vibrancy either. They've been doled down, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Hansen again, same artist, just with the blue scheme more. And again, to make this area feel special, everything else is blue. And then to bring your focus over here, he accents that color right in the window, right? Some lonely old guy out there
In his tool shed.
in his tool shed. Mark Hansen again, I just love the motion and movement in this.
Wow.
It really feels like something just scared this bunch of birds and they're just, you know, taking off. Mark Hansen again, I've always loved this one. This is an older one of his. This is one I had printed up in my studio just to study, just because all those, I mean, no color in here is vibrant, but they're gorgeous, and you can, and they're easily discernible, right? There's pink, green, blue,
Purple.
you know,
Yeah.
all these different colors, but they all harmonize. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one in black and white. I've never done this on this painting, even though I've looked at it so many times. A beautiful design, beautiful, simple, straightforward design.
Wow.
Right? I mean, that's still a beautiful painting.
Yeah.
It's much more dynamic, much more dramatic. I love
You
his
can
version
see
of
the
it.
red in the grasses.
Yeah. I
Right,
can
yeah,
tell
look at how
this.
punchy they get.
Love it.
Let's warm it up. See, still beautiful.
That's Mhm.
That almost feels more like what I would do.
Yep.
All right, let's turn it into a nighttime scene.
Moonlight.
Pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think we're nearly done. This is Megan Lytel. She does huge amounts of these, just skyscapes. And a lot of them are really subtle. Some of them are more dramatic, but all of her paintings, for the most part, as far as I've seen, are always about gray. Lots of soft edges. She just definitely has a feeling and a very consistent approach to her paint. But yeah, there's a delicate, and I mean, I don't even know a better word than elegant up here.
Very.
You know, it looks like a bunch of popcorn, but it's elegant popcorn and very beautifully colored and clothed popcorn.
Is she from Canada?
I would imagine. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, lots of plains paintings, big flat areas with big skies. I actually painted a painting very similar to this when I was from Italy. It's funny, I'll share it with you here. There's one of mine.
Beautiful.
Quick study out in the fog in Savi Island, and I just really wanted to play up the warmth of it. You know, whether or not, you know, it definitely wasn't that glowy and red, but I didn't want it to feel cold. So, you know, that was one I could also just adjust and make it cooler, and it'll probably feel a little more naturalistic.
Nice.
Yeah, the greens come out.
Anyway, so fun just to play with them. And again, all we're doing is just keep asking ourselves, what if, what if, what if? This is another one of mine. Actually, there'll be a couple of mine here. Yeah, and this was just all an experiment. You know, when I go out plein air painting in the mornings, a lot of times I paint near the wetlands and the marshes, and you just get this kind of gossamer haze sitting over the top of everything and really making it subtle. Another one of mine. This is a little tiny guy. I think he's like 6 inches by 6 inches or something like that. Another one, mine.
Beautiful.
It has a lot of color and warmth, but it's brought to you by the color gray, right? To make these warms really warm. I don't know why this one's in here. Maybe because there's some gray. That's another one of mine. This is Nancy Bush. believe maybe she's from Texas. I don't know. But she does really beautiful, subtle grade paintings and a lot of landscapes that almost feel more abstracted to me. Ruth Schuring, she's from the Netherlands, I believe, and quite the character. I've met her twice. And one time we were drinking beers up on a balcony overlooking California somewhere, and she just goes, "Do you know how you can tell an American painter versus a Dutch painter?" And I was like, "Well, how?" And she's like, "Americans use too much, lots of swearing, color."
That's funny.
Stuck with me. And she does use color in some of her paintings too, but she is a beast of a painter. She just attacks that canvas. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't do this in like 20 or 30 minutes. I mean, she
Wow.
globs it on, and there's fun pictures. So her name is, it's actually Rose, but it's, Dutch, so Roos, Roos, Schuring, Schuring. And there's lots of pictures of her just in like full snow clothes on the frozen beaches near her house in the middle of winter painting. And like, I mean, I'm talking like thick layers and hats and just a crazy person. She's really intense. Russell Chatham again, just those gorgeous colors, right? And I apologize, this is going so long. But what happens is I go looking through my references of, artists and stuff, and I'm going with an idea in mind, and I'm like, I know I've got a couple gray paintings in there, and I start looking around. I'm like, oh, there's so many, and they're so beautiful, and so fun to visit, and I can't wait to share them with all my friends.
Wow.
Again, Russell Chatham. Look at these colors. The subtlety. And if we could zoom in, he also is using broken color. T. Allen Lawson is much more vibrant, much more colorful, right? He's grayed the colors slightly, but not a huge amount. T. Allen Lawson is a fantastic painter, and I believe uses a very limited palette, but really gets a lot of effect. Terry Wolf Ezo. I don't know much about this artist, but I thought this piece was really interesting. And what I really liked is the difference in the trees from down below to up where they're silhouetted. I mean, it looks like he's just done in like 3 brush strokes, and it's very loose and gestural, and maybe was just a quick study for something or a quick plein air sketch, just trying to capture the colors.
Yeah.
What is his name?
It might be a woman, Terri, and then Wolf with an E, Wolfe, and then I have Izzo on there. I'm not sure. Izzo. So I don't know. We could do a quick check and see if
Perry Wolf Izzo. She's probably native.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that artist. Unfortunately, I apologize. And gosh, I keep thinking I'm about done. Thomas Kegler.
Wow.
I think some of you guys have shared some of his work in the past. But yeah, just beautiful.
Wow.
And okay, now we're getting to the unknown. So there's like 4 unknown paintings in here. That I just don't know.
Excuse me, who was the last one? That
Kegler,
one.
Thomas, and then Kegler.
Wow, that's gorgeous. Thank you.
Izzo is part of her name. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, it'd be interesting to look at more of their work. It's like my daughter always goes, "Have you heard this song?" And we'll play a great song. And I'm like, "What's the rest of their music like?" She's like, "I don't know. I've only ever listened to this song." And so I'm like that with a lot of artists, where I fall in love with one painting and don't do my research. Other times I'll go down the full rabbit hole for hours of, oh my gosh, look at all this work. Oh, and look who they studied with. And and who they're inspired by. And I don't.
Well, with that, Wolf Izzo, which I think is her last name, both together, broken color comes up right away with her broken color techniques.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. If you don't mind sharing the link in our.
She's got a lot of architectural work in her paintings too. Some of them.
Man. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll have to just explore that.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is a technique I use quite a bit where I'll have a big gray and then just a band of color and gray again. I love that. And I see that all the time. My window behind me faces due west. So if I'm, up here long enough, I see the sunset almost every night. And this is really common in Oregon. It's just this heavy, gray clouds, and all of a sudden you get a little band of light, which is really special. Isn't that something?
Wow.
Yeah.
Really nice.
And I can't believe I don't know who painted it.
Wow.
Are you familiar with Mark Bone?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I use a lot of his work as examples.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he used to live in Washington, but he's moved to East Coast somewhere, I believe.
Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like.
Oh, wow, that's fun.
That looks like
Yeah, so all of a sudden punchy color, but still a lot of grayed down areas.
Yeah.
Okay, that is our show there. So let's take a 5-minute break, unless you guys need longer for our first break. And we will jump. So man, that took me a whole hour. I apologize, but that was a lot of stuff, right? And really showing the versatility of grays. And now I kept saying that part was brought to you by Darlene Crow, but in fact, the next portion of our class, the more fun part, is brought to you by Darlene Crow. And we're going to answer her questions and all the questions that you guys are going to ask. And we're going to look at different blacks, and I'm going to explain how and why you might use them and why I would suggest not. All right. Enjoy your 5-minute break, and we will be right back.